All right, Robert, what happens when condos don't sell?
Not very much because normally they don't put a hole in the ground until they're 70% sold, or they're constrained from doing so because they can't get permanent financing. They have to use mezzanine financing from the middle, which is quite expensive. So they try to get to the permanent financing very quickly. And if they just can't sell 70%, then they use that clause in the agreement, the economic viability clause, saying it's not working, here's your money back.
Now, when they give the money back, would there be some developers that might consider changing that entire project into possibly rentals?
Well, that is one option. That is one option that also the rules on density may have changed in between the time they got that approval, let's say 5, 7 years ago, or they got the first brainwave and then they got the approval 3 or 5 years ago. And there may have been some new incentives offered by a helping government that would make rentals or a different type of density or type of property considered in a different light, and the market for condos may have flopped. Like, who wants to pay 1,300 square feet for a condo that's
Yeah,
worth
well,
900?
better getting affordable rentals, right? And so on this episode of Real Estate Chat with
John Perez.
and Robert Eade, we're going to be looking at something very interesting in Montreal.
Royale.
Montreal. So viva la Montreal. Brivia pauses Montreal Sterling condo development ponders switch to rentals. So of course I don't speak French. I took it till OAC in high school and only remember bonjour, comment ça va? A couple of phrases. Robert, did you ever take French?
In grade 9 and 10, we were compelled to because we were in the Brown room.
All right. So we are not practitioners in the Montreal area, but it's interesting to see here that a condo developer pauses one of their projects and ponders. Now, they're not actually switching it. Maybe they will, but they're pondering a switch to rentals. So we'll include that article here because what we're seeing is that there are pre-construction projects still very prevalent, and they are selling, right? To some industry watchers surprises. Many projects are still selling. Some, however, are not. And as Robert said, in some situations, there may be viability clauses that, economic viability clauses that if a condo is not feasible anymore, they may cancel that project. And so that's something that we might see over the next couple of years. But we were talking about this, Robert and I, and all of a sudden we were brought to this intersection here at Bathurst and Bloor. Bathurst and Bloor currently looks like this, right, Robert? I mean, there's these massive, one would think that this is a massive condominium project. And when you go around the corner here, as Robert told me, hey, why don't you drive to that street over there? All of a sudden we see this. Wow. All of a sudden we went.
The old Honest Ed story. Yep.
It's like Back to the Future.
That was there before.
Yeah,
Yep.
we traveled back in time, right? And so we did a bit of digging around. And this is, of course, Mirvish Village, Honest Ed's redevelopment. So many of you who are in Toronto and watching Real Estate Chat and who have clicked on subscribe, are familiar with this project. So according to Urban Toronto, 909 is the number of units across 5 buildings. And here is another website. Registrations are now closed for if anybody watching this was interested in affordable rentals, you can visit the website, but registrations are now closed. And 37 affordable rental homes available, 48 homes allocated to nonprofit agencies, multiple units available. Robert, I guess in the context of our past episodes where we talk about Toronto affordability, density, units being built, now going to Montreal, some condo developers pondering rentals, who can afford the high prices of pre-con today? And will there be a future in Toronto or in other major cities of Canada where it is a purpose-built rental future where everybody will be renting instead of owning?
Number one, this week, the federal government said that they're going to stimulate purpose-built rental buildings by eliminating the tax, not collecting the tax anymore on the materials that go into that building. So there's an incentive to build rentals. Now, if you're building a condo, you're doing it for a reason, that you're going to build it. You're going to sell it each unit at about twice what it costs you to pay for it. And then you're going to finance the time that it takes in between the first day and the last day. And then you're going to take all your money out on the last day and you're going to walk away after 1 year after, and you have nothing to do with that anymore. Whereas if you build a purpose built, you're there in the long haul. You're there, it's a 30-year project. You're going to have those rental incomes and you're going to finance it over a long term, and you're just going to wait for property values to appreciate as a whole. So is there a market for rentals? Yes. But if you look real closely at that Mirvish Village buildup, there are several different categories of rentals in there. And the ones, the 48, the 53 that were affordable, they're a small portion of the 100 or 1,500 or something or other units that were in there. The rest of them are going to be market rents. And you remember that market rents built since, I forget the date now, are exempt from rent controls. So those are one huge, two huge, gigantic blocks away from the prime area of Toronto. And they're going to have no rent controls on, except for the 20% that they got extra density because they gave away this affordable rent component. So it's a good deal. It's a good deal for those people. They put this deal together at times of low interest rates. So I'm sure they didn't finance as a variable rate mortgage. They locked up the financing for a long time. So there's a place for everything if you have a big enough site, and it's very rare that you have a big enough site downtown, but they did.
Well, I remember how ambitious that project was, and Honest Ads was a very historic place. And I've been to Bathurst and Bloor. There's a lot of nice venues, restaurants there, and it's very vibrant. So as you were saying earlier, before we started recording, it's certainly not downtown core, but it is.
No, but it's right by University of Toronto. That was the lousiest building in the whole area. Everything else was, I had a listing on Palmerston, which, an old lady lived there since 1957, and it was built as a triplex in 1957. And, she sold it in whatever it was, 2013, something or other, and was sitting on a pile of money when she was in the retirement home. So everything else around there is expensive and is old. This was just old, dilapidated, old stores that he made all into a big thing. And then, he's out of the business and his son is out of the business. And so they redeveloped the land. That's
so now
you buy land.
Would they? I mean, did they sell the land? I don't know. I don't know about as much maybe as you do, Robert. Did they sell it, or are they part of this venture that was created?
Well, they should have done it as a joint venture, but I'm sure they took some money out because some of his other theatrical endeavors are not making as much as they might, and so he'd be able to redeploy some of the capital. So I'm sure he kept an interest. I'm sure. The son, David, I believe his name is, kept in interest, but I do not know the fine details.
Yeah. Well, so the interesting thing for our viewers to consider is that, if developers buy a plot of land and they build purpose-built rentals, then you're not in that game. If you were an investor, you pretty much have a choice of, if you see rental in Toronto as a viable investment, you would buy a resale condo at an attractive price, a lucrative price, to make it worth your while. Or you would be investing in a pre-con. So, Robert, we've also touched on this topic in the past. Because of these rentals being built, mayor introducing or proposing thousands upon thousands of more units, are you bullish on buying or having our real estate chat viewers buy into pre-construction condos because, of the purpose of them, once it's built, renting it out?
No, I'm keen on them buying a triplex. I'm keen on them buying a single family home and putting a second story on it. And again, it's not a 5-minute flip. It's a 10-year deal. You buy in the path of change. So main streets are good. Corners are good. Big piece of land where you can subdivide it. Look at what they're doing now, intensification. They're letting you do things that they never would have allowed you under zoning rules. The zoning rules from the official plan amendment Committee of Adjustments just would not let you put 4 units on a single family dwelling. But now they're saying this is going to be standard procedure. So anticipate, look for the big lots, maybe in an awkward position. That's why it's sitting there and nobody wants it. But otherwise, everyone's going to buy it if you can turn it into 4 units. Yep.
Also, maybe, for example, Scarborough bungalows with basement dwellings near the LRT development, Young Street, Richmond Hill, anything on main streets, that sort of thing, Robert?
Well, okay, everybody wanted to make a basement apartment. 3 units is the magic on a single family dwelling. If you somehow get 3 units, now they're going to let you do 4. Now they're going to let you create 4. So nobody knows what the rules are. One of the girls that used to work in our office is going to object to someone next to them who's applying to put 4 units, a big, take the bungalow and put a second story on it, and who knows what else, but to really examine and say, no, we don't want that in our neighborhood. And the outcome of that committee of adjustments meeting will be the tone and tenor of what everything in the Scarborough East, or whatever they call it, City of Toronto's new, I guess it's not voted yet, it's not approved yet, but that's where they want to go.
Very interesting. So if you found this episode informative, make sure you click on like and share it with your friends so that they can become real estate chatters like you. Make sure you join the chat by typing into the comments what you think about this, and tell us where you think investment is going so that you can share with your fellow real estate chatters your thoughts on the real estate market here.
Yeah, tell us what's happening at Honest Ed's these days.
Yeah, if you got a rental there, tell us some of the juicy details about that. Thanks for watching this episode of Real Estate Chat. Take care and bye for now.
See you.